Alrighty, here we are. Good morning, Ryan. How are you doing today?
Hey, Amy, I'm doing great. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, doing well. And I know we are both busy, both in the thick of it with college applications, college essay writing, college consulting. And what would you say is like the general state of the union as far as seeing different trends from kids, seeing mistakes? I know today our topic is we want parents to walk away from our Facebook Live today with seven tips, seven action steps they can glean. So,
Mhm.
um, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so we could dig into this. We could spend a whole hour on this, obviously. So I just wrote down before we were going to get together today, some of the biggest mistakes that I see students making on the Common App. And I wanted to pass this on to any students and parents that are watching this today. And hopefully they can implement this later on and hopefully reduce the chances of this happening or affecting their Common App, right?
Okay, so
And some of
you're
these,
really seeing you're seeing these like some of these like pervasive like mistakes from is it from students and parents, from what schools are saying?
yeah, these are usually from the students' perspective, but there are a few on here, one or two from the parents as well, that I wanted to talk about just to make sure they aren't making any of these mistakes as well. So
That's awesome.
both sides of
That's
the
and why
coin.
not like save time, save arguments, save money. I mean, this is super helpful. So I'd love to hear and then infuse. I think this is a fun way to frame this. Like, so if these are the mistakes, then the tips are the flip side. That's
Right,
perfect.
right. Yeah,
Okay. And I'm
exactly.
going to try to, if you see me kind of looking down, I'm also trying to like type and capture because I know people watch the replay a lot
Sure.
and yeah, want to see these comments. So okay, so take it away with mistake number one, and this is for college applications on the Common App.
Common App, and I threw some essay ones in there as well, since I knew I was going to be with you. And of course, you specialize in essay help. And so I wanted to throw some of those in there in between just the Common App in general, right? So we're going to be talking
Great,
about Common App in general, mistakes that we can try to avoid. Okay.
awesome. Okay,
So number one, I don't have these in any certain ranking. So it's like number one's
oh,
not
that's
the
fine.
biggest, and number 10, they're all
Yeah,
big, right? So
yeah.
overusing big words, trying to impress someone, right? So a lot of these students think that they have to use big words that they've never used before, and they throw them into their essays and throw it into their applications, and you read it and it goes, it just doesn't look right, or it doesn't sound right, it doesn't read right. So I'm sure you've experienced that as well.
It's so interesting that you say that because I was working with one of my last students of the day last night on her essay. A wonderful student, working so hard, like great topic. Literally, the student wrote, like, tagged me in a comment saying, "I just want to sound more intelligent." Because she knows I'm going to call her out on exactly what you said, using big words. Now, here's the thing. I agree with you. And I think this is true for like 90%, 95% of our students trying to infuse their essays, perhaps their activities list,
Mm-hmm.
with these big words. If I always say to students, look, the small percentage of you that have been avid readers and have that natural lexicon, that natural dictionary, fine, that's you. That
Right.
will ooze out in other areas like A's in English class, higher English mechanics and vocab on the SAT or ACT, right? But okay, I
Sure.
love that. And I know you knew that would relate to my little neck of the woods here. Okay,
Definitely.
very
And I
good.
have a few more like that, but we'll jump into those later. Jump into those later. But yeah, I could definitely tell you could relate to that. Um, Another one that you would probably like is when they're writing the supplemental essays, they
Mm.
lack any familiarity with the college itself,
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah,
right? So if you're writing to about NC State, you need to really understand what makes NC State unique and different, and not something that takes them 5 minutes to look at on the website, right? They really need
I
to
mean,
understand
So basically the mistake is with the supplemental essays, like generalizations and really demonstrating you don't know what that college is about. You don't have
Right.
specific detail. Okay.
Yep. Yep. Again, I knew you would appreciate that since you're dealing with that all the time, helping students with supplemental essays and helping them write those, right? So yeah, that was a good one.
Well, oh, that is a good one. And then here, I actually have a question for you that I think is super, super relevant and valuable. Um, so another student yesterday was working on supplemental essays saying, for a school that's not within, like, what do you and I say, like the typical 10 or something like this, like in our,
Sure.
in our, yeah.
Mhm.
And saying, well, Mrs. Haskell, am I supposed to, if I know what I want to major in? Because the
Mhm.
question asks, the supplemental as a question asks something to the extent of, why do you want to go to X university? And what is it if you know you want to major in? So
Mhm.
she was asking a really great question. I mean, maybe this is even like for another time, but she was saying, to what extent am I supposed to give details for what I want to major in?
Mhm.
Like she said, I've heard on TikTok that you're supposed to bring in professors, famous professors that are in what finance or
Mhm.
education or biology. And so, like, well, I think I have an answer for that. I mean, what would you say to a student like, Mr. Clark, do I have to include professor names?
I don't necessarily. I think it depends upon the college, and I think it depends upon what she is potentially majoring in. Right. I mean, if
Yeah,
she's totally undecided, then obviously that makes no sense to do
no,
that. Right.
right.
But if
Yeah,
she's like wavering between, let's say, computer science and economics, then she might could dig into the computer science department or the economics department and understand the difference between that college and another college that she's applying to, because a lot of times they are completely different, right? And how they're organized, who's teaching it, how they teach it, what type of work study that they have, or what type of internships and co-ops that each school has. Those are types of things that they could bring in
yeah,
that might not be very specific, but can say, hey, this is why I really like your school.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, okay, that's cool. Um, It does depend, and I know a lot of our answers, like, we can say these mistakes, and then it's also like,
Mhm.
"But," which is why
Right.
working one-on-one with one of us or a team member is invaluable, because what if you do have that student that really does know specifically what he or she wants to major in and has even attended a summer class at X university? I mean, of course, then infuse, show them. I think it comes down to, is it genuine?
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree exactly. And I think the colleges really want to know if the student's interested or not, and they can, tell that by how they write their essay. And some of these colleges, as you know, put a lot of emphasis on the supplemental essays. Lots of emphasis, not
Well,
so much
that's
on
the
the common
thing,
app.
right? Yeah, I know. It's so true. I mean, I am quite concerned about the students who think they can rattle off these supplemental essays in 4 minutes.
Right.
When they say edit, they're looking, I think it's so interesting. People say, well, we're giving it a hard proofread for semicolons and commas. It's like, well, what about content?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as you know, like NC State supplemental essays are so important. So important. It's probably one of their most important things on their application. So yeah, it just depends upon the college, as you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right.
So you ready for the
So
next one?
I'm ready for the next one.
All right. Um, Talking about punctuation and grammar, just forgetting that punctuation and grammar actually do count, and that is important. A lot of students forget that.
I mean,
Right. So we do need to review those essays,
well,
punctuation and grammar after the
well,
content is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to spell punk to type this into our comments. Uh, right now, I'm wondering if this is actually streaming to Facebook or not, because StreamYard has given me, I don't know if you're able to check total
Oh, I
rating
can check.
enrichment, but yeah. Um, I do think And if not, I'll send a note to StreamYard. I'm writing ignore punctuation, grammar, in essay, and I would say other written parts of your application. And I do have some comments on that.
I figured you would.
Well, it is interesting, and this will. So I do think, Ryan, even since we were in school, and let me know if you can see we're alive or not. I see my post about go see Barbie, or click on my Facebook Live. I see that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I see it.
I know. Okay. I wonder if I don't know what to do. Let's see. Well, we are streaming on LinkedIn and we are streaming on YouTube.
And we might be. I might just be looking at the wrong place. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I'll send a note to StreamYard in a second. I mean, what I was going to say is, well, actually, let me send a note to StreamYard right now. And do you want to speak about, these grammar, punctuation, it just seems to me, and again, I'm an English teacher, it seems to me the low-hanging fruit, even if you haven't had the best English teacher focusing on punctuation and grammar. Like, what are you seeing? Because that is a no-brainer as far as what parents, I think, can help with, right? I mean,
yeah, that's exactly right. And that's another mistake that I was going to talk about, is not having anyone review your application. So many students don't have a parent review it, or a teacher review it, or someone like ourselves to review their application. And it's because, they just think everything is perfect before they submit it. But when you're filling out a college application, you're writing so quickly, we have lazy fingers, is what I like to call when we're typing really quick. It's really easy to put the wrong punctuation or to spell something wrong on the application. And we just don't see it, right? Because we wrote it. And in our mind says it's right, but we're just glancing over it really quick, reading it, and we just don't notice it. But, as you know, having a fresh set of eyes or a different perspective catches those mistakes. And you absolutely need to do that. So if you're a parent listening to us tonight, or if you're a friend, have a friend review it that's really good in English. If you're a high school student, a teacher, a counselor, someone else review your application before you submit it. A few years ago, I always tell my students this. A few years ago, it's probably 10 years ago now, but anyway, the student wrote collage probably 6 or 7 times in their application. And it's not because they didn't know how to spell college. They were just typing really quick, right? And when I pointed it out, they were so embarrassed. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But it was amazing that they didn't catch it, right? But in their mind, it said college, right? It's just because they were reading really quickly. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that proofreading, I think having another pair of eyes is absolutely a must, because there are so many places students' brains go as far as content, as far as meeting deadlines, as far as they have a test to study for. And those errors can be deadly as far as admissions goes. So
yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, well, we have a decision to make right now. I don't think this is streaming on Facebook. I think we are on LinkedIn Live, and I think we are on. So we could stop it, and I could reset the StreamYard, and we could just quickly pick up. And I do think that might be smart, because I know a bunch of people who wanted to see this.
Okay, yeah, whatever you think's best.
Okay, so if you're watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, we're going to stop this now, and you can take the time to look at the mistakes we've already covered that kids and parents should know about for college applications and college essays, and we'll be right back.